hello. Welcome, one and all. Welcome, my goblins, ghouls, vampires, demons, changelings, fairies, freaks, and what else? Gremlins of the internet. I am Hanyo, your Demon Cinephile. And tonight, well, it's Halloween. And I thought I abandoned Twitch for tonight and try to do more stuff here on YouTube. And, well, I thought I could fix something I fumbled up last week. And this is my scary stories. And last time I did this on Twitch, I kind of messed up on the audio in the last couple minutes. And I seriously fumbled it up. But, you know what? We always want to try for perfection. Always want to get best we can. So I thought we can do this for a minute before we start the main show at, we're at 9:30. 9:30 for the Halloween watch-along. So anyone's here that's going to go to that, please have your Blu-rays, DVDs, VHSs, digital copies, or whatever of those two movies ready to go. And we'll start that show then. But I think it's probably should start getting to these soon. Okay, last time it took me a minute to get through these, so I might skip a few. Chat to the side real quick. Yeah. So it says the 40 seconds thing. I don't know why I did that. I might take that off later. And OBS chat screen is acting stupid, but what else is new? Alright, which one should we do first? Last time I started off with the easy stuff. There are poems. My poems. So let's do that first. This one I love. Let's start with the first one. Yeah, I probably should have made those a little bit smaller. And it's fine though. So the first one is titled, I Want Your Heart. Now let's start that in 1, 2, 3. The show is over. A little bit different. The show is over. The opera beautiful. I stand and chat. So many interesting people. I should invite them to a dinner party. Then, I see you across the room. I want your heart. I watch you from afar. Your beauty captivating. I want your heart. I approach. We chat. Your name is Bella. You're rude. I want your heart. Come over for dinner tomorrow. I'll serve pig's tongue. A pig for a pig. I want your heart. Come on in. Take a drink. First on my medical table. I have your heart. Perfectly sautéed. With onions, mushrooms, and red peppers. Your lungs, kidneys, and spleen make perfect sausages. Your breast should make an excellent grilled teriyaki over rice and broccoli. And the thighs could use for a roast. It's enough for a small dinner party. You are invited to the home of Dr. Hannibal Lecter for a dinner party and pianist performance. Bring your appetite. Also be warned, nothing on the menu is vegetarian. I like that one. It's so most of these things I'm reading I did for my one of my English classes I did. It was for you like write your own stories, do your own poems, all that kind of junk. And the original version didn't actually have the Hannibal Lecter reference. I mean, it was inspired by Hannibal, but I wasn't like supposed to be Hannibal. But like, if the professor wanted us to redo 2 poems, like, what am I supposed to do? I'm not good at poetry. I'm not exactly sure what to do. So I took this and I added a little bit more dialogue. Those last 3 stanzas, basically. The top parts, I don't think I really changed that much, if I can remember right. I don't think I have the original on me. But let's go to our next one. Okay, this one might make some of you more sportsy people upset, but I'm not big of a sports fan, and frankly, I got this from watching that early episode of Smallville where Clark had to fight the evil coach that had like fire powers. He was kind of like Bakugo. I don't know. He could turn water into fire or something like that. Stupid. But let's get into this one. And blow the screen up a little bit so I can see better. Blow my whistle. Let's go, boys! A dozen of young men following my orders, dancing on a field. They chase, they tackle, for a ball. A crowd of colorful parents chanting for the children to beat each other. I keep that loser with heart on the bench. Need my winning pieces on play. Hit a crunch, a snap, a scream. My eyes on the scoreboard. I held up my trophy. A 16-year-old broke his leg. I screamed with pride. The kid may never walk again. My legacy is intact. Yeah, this one, I have a little viciousness in it. I'm not sure why, but it's like I'm not a sports person. I don't really look at coaches like those as inspirations. Not saying they're all bad or evil. Please don't get that out of mind. Please don't take that. Coaches. But I put supposed to be coach. I know I'm spelling that wrong. Darn it all. It's me and my inability to spell things. Where's the original source I had? Okay, yeah, I spelled it right. And just me and not able to spell. Doubting myself like I always do. Alright, so our next 2 poems are ones that I really like. They were inspired by my 2 favorite stories that I've indulged myself in for the last couple years. And if you know anything about them, they are, well, they hold the title for most as peak fiction. And I will admit, I kind of go in that direction. And if you are watchers and want to know what I'm talking about, please head over to the Twitch down bottom where we constantly play both these stories. But to get the ball rolling, we sit in the trees, singing our songs. The summer locusts have come out to cry. We sit in our trees, watching the children of man. We keep your secrets. We keep your footsteps. We keep your cries. We see the boy running away from no one. We see the girl burying her uncle. We watch the photographer clawing out his throat. They cry and scream and cry. Their voices drowned by our song. No one to come to their aid. No one will be left alive. when the cicadas cry. If any are big fans of Higurashi, or When They Cry in general, you might got some of those references. But let's keep going to the third one, or fourth one. Now this one's a bit spoilery if you watch the latest Higurashi anime, but let's me see. Let's see where I'm to the thing. Here we go. I lost it for a second. Alright. I watch her up close. I watch her from afar. We grew up together. We grew apart. She wanted the world. I wanted our little town. She wanted to see society. I just wanted our friends. She wanted to voyage. I just wanted her. Two girls brought together by pain and loss. That's what we were. Friends. Best friends. More than sisters. But I want more than friendship. I followed her to society. A grand castle made for proper ladies. She found friends. I found work. She wore a mask. My smile broke. She was happy. Without me. I live in hell. I just want those summer days back. I just want our friends. I just want my brother. I just want her. I met a new friend. She'll give me the power to make life how I want it. Those summer days will return. She and I will be together again. And this time, I won't let her go. No matter how much she screams and kicks. Girls to women, loopers to witches. Certainty and miracles. We will always be together when they cry. And I won't tell why it's called my face. I forget not to use the number pad. I won't say why it's called 3-4, but if you know, you know. We're at 18 minutes in. Probably would start a little bit earlier, but I'm not. I wasn't really familiar how to go live on YouTube with a pre-scheduled thing. Took me a second to figure it out. I'll be honest. But I get the stories up. How's everybody's day going so far? How's your Halloween? Good? Bad? I just watched some spooky stuff with Mama Hanyo. That was about it. Alright, so let me go to this page. I have them all listed on two different browsers. Focusing on the more spooky sections. Let's go to one I really loved that I wrote. I think the prompt for this one was to create something. What was the prompt? I think one prompt was somebody leaving a lake and another person just committing a murder. So after getting a little inspiration from a classic horror film, I decided to combine both prompts. Here we go. Take a swig. The lake. Pamela looked down into the water. It took a minute, but eventually the lake became still. The early morning rays cast just enough light for her reflection to pop up. And looking into the water, she noticed how disheveled she looked. Her hair was wild, alva spun, a scratch mark on her right cheek. But what bothered her, what made her blood boil, was her blue sweater. It had several patches of dirt on it, and some red blotches. Pamela reached into the water, bringing her wet hand to the sweater, trying to wash the blots. No, this can't stain. He really liked this sweater. She rubbed and rubbed, but they stayed. After several minutes of this act, Pamela gave up. She lay back in the canoe. She was enjoying the soft waves of the water. She never thought much about this lake before the accident. It was just a body of water that happened to be a part of her summer job. After the incident, she hated the place. Just the sight of the lake filled her heart with grief and rage. So much rage. But now, it's a bit comforting. It's almost like she's lying right next to him. A burning sensation came upon her eyes. She closed them and put her hands over her face. The morning light is getting stronger. It's best she doesn't stay here much longer. I wasn't trying to rhyme that one. She removes the paddle from inside the boat and started her journey back to shore. She took her time paddling back. She took quick glances over the... She took quick glances, watching for the dock, but most of her attention was looking into the lake. Beside her own image, reflecting back at her, was that being distorted by the paddles, cutting into the water. She saw some fish coming close to the surface. She could even spot a curious little turtle. The turtle swam up and poked his tiny head out. It was watching her. "Now there, little guy. What are you doing all the way up here?" she said, putting on her best baby voice for the creature. "Where's your mama? I bet she's missing you a bunch." The words came out in chokes. She can feel the streams of salt running down her face. She put her hand out of the boat, placing it right on top of the water. She called to the creature, whistling to it, but the animal remained still. They both did, in this weird standoff on the water. After a few minutes of this game, the creature dives back into the lake. "The lake is taking you too? Are you down there with him? Are you keeping him company?" She smiled and shook her head to compose herself. She grabbed the paddles again and continued her journey. The boat shook her a bit when it hit the dock. She parked the canoe and climbed up the deck. She used to hate this deck too. Why was it so far out? Why was the water so deep beneath? Didn't they think of what could go wrong? Was anybody thinking of the kids who couldn't swim? No, of course they didn't. All they were concerned about was the kids that fit in. All they cared about was the boys that looked nice or were good at sports. The counselors are nothing but dumb kids themselves, useless hormonal idiots who couldn't do one simple job right. And what makes it worse, I asked them. Pamela takes one more look over the lake. This near perfect stillness is almost glass-like reflection in the morning fog creeping up on the edges. Her gaze travels down to the edge of the dock. She smiles and waves before sitting down so she can see better. She could see him. She could see him every time she peered over the dock. She could not forget that face. His one good eye looked up at her. What little hair he had floating around his face. It almost looked like a halo. Are you an angel now, Jason? That's what happens to special kids like you. Are you my guardian angel, Jason? Have you come to watch over Mommy? The tears return before she can register them happening. Those memories won't go away. She couldn't watch Jason, so she begged Judy to. I just told her to keep an eye on him and make sure the other kids weren't being mean. But no, she just couldn't keep her hands off that boy. And they weren't so concerned with making love, and he would still be here. Pamela pounds her fists into the wood. Her rage calmed down and turned back to tears. After cleaning her eyes, Jason was no longer there. She could feel the grip of melancholy wanting to take her heart again. But then she remembered her reasoning for coming out to the lake. The satisfaction from completing her task helps to lift her mood, though only a little. She got up and made her way off the dock. She knew Christy would come back any minute, but she was feeling a bit nostalgic. She made a quick stop at the main cabin. It contains Christy's office, the mess hall, the kitchen, and some other nonchalant rooms. Seeing the sterile white and metallic glory of the kitchen is making their wrath and grief swell up. She didn't have to cook for all those ungrateful brats. She could have time for her boy. She eyed the various pots and pans that she had to work with. Every fiber of her being wanted to reach out and destroy everything in that kitchen. Now, if it's just the kitchen is just trash, they would know I came back. So she focused on something simple. Something nobody would miss. She took her chef knife. This wasn't any blade. She brought this one from home. The one she used all the time. Not just here, but at home with Jason. Pamela made her way to the cabins. Just like the kitchen, all she wanted was to tear apart the counselor cabins. She let herself into the girls' counselor cabin. She trailed down the rows of beds till she reached Judy's. Oh, Judy, if only you had done what you were told, you'll still be here on this bed. She ran the tip of the blade against the bed, imagining Judy still there, imagining the knife slicing into an artery. But she can't do that. Judy's gone. She takes a peek into the boys' cabin. It wasn't much different from the counselor's cabin, except for the smaller bunk beds. She didn't have to walk much. The bed she was looking for was right next to the door. She remembers coming here not long after the incident to collect Jason's things. Dirty Judy was the one and the others were putting his things in a bag when she walked in. She snatched it away from their filthy hands and did it herself. How dare their dirty hands touch your things? She'll never forget what she heard after that. He was a freak. He couldn't even talk. Good riddance. She turned and saw little Bobby Hampton. She'd seen him a few times around the camp. He shared the cabin with Jason. Jason would always get skittish when he was near. She tried to get him to tell her if the young man was bullying him, but Jason refused. She left the cabin. The sun is now fully out. She walks up to the entrance point to the camp. It's dead and lifeless now, but in the beginning, it's full of running children and buses and parents dropping their kids off, while others was having a great time. She had to console Jason. She remembered looking at his reflection in the rear view mirror, his head down, covering himself with his hands to further hide his features. I'm sorry, Jason, but this was the only job Mommy could get that pays well. No response. Jason rarely spoke. Never even cried as a baby. But he would normally grunt or moan to acknowledge her. I know you don't want to come, but we have no choice. We're all we got. Understand? Just try to be sociable. Not every kid is a nightmare. Who knows? Maybe you'll make a friend by the lake. If only she knew back then. If only she found another job closer to home, Jason wouldn't have to come. Make a friend by the lake. No, Jason. You made the lake your home. This land belongs to you now, my boy. I promise, Jason. They'll never open it again. I'll do whatever it takes to see to that. Pamela jumps into her car. She immediately scowls and she looks at the reflection in her rearview mirror. The rearview bloodstains and a big piss mark covering the middle of the back seat. Bobby Hampton, you know, good little shit, pissing on my car. It was going to be a pain to get that out, but it was worth it. Now Jason won't be alone. Thank you, Mommy, said the sweetest voice in the world. You're welcome, Jason. She started the car and drove off, passing the sign, "Welcome to Camp Crystal Lake." I love that one. I love that one. I made some mistakes, like misspelling. I changed Pamela's name here and there. Oh, hello, Cox! How are you doing? Sorry, I didn't see you there. The YouTube chat window is much different than Twitch's. It's weird. I had the 40-second delay on. I'm not sure why I did that. I'm sorry. But yeah, that was the lake. That was obviously inspired by Friday the 13th. And a little bit of Pamela Voorhees as the main character. Because she needs a little more love. A little more attention. Which, whenever that Camp Crystal Lake, or I think just called Crystal Lake TV show comes out, hopefully we'll get a lot more Pamela. Get to explore her a bit more. Now, I think I want to go back to our next love, the subject of our last two poems. Let me see. Let me get the... Yeah, I should put these things down a little bit lower. A little smaller. We're gonna make these smaller. I have too many things on the screen. There we go. Birth of a Witch of Truth. And this is going to have some spoilers from Fort Umineko, so don't want that. Probably should click off for a second. But I really love this one. I can't remember what the prompt was for the class, but I just had Umineko on the brain. I was like, what can I do? What can I do? I was like, oh, I can do this. I can do this. And the idea came and the words are flowing out of me. This one's gonna be fun. Alright, here we go. No, that's wrong screen. Why do we have two browsers open? There we go. Birth of a Witch of Truth. It was pitch black. The only thing illuminating the area was the few stars and the lights from the top. It was bright enough to look over the ship and see the rippling waves. Erica leaned forward, watching the waves, trying to gauge the distance from herself to the water. Pardon me, Furude-san. Erica turned to see one of the staff. It was a small ship with few attendees. It's not that far out. He would know her name. You shouldn't lean so close over the edge. It's very dangerous. Erica couldn't help but snicker at his warning. What? You think I would be so clumsy enough to fall over the edge? No, ma'am, I was Just what? Do you think I'm stupid? I'll let you know that Fruto Erica is many things but stupid. So, why don't you run along and do your job and stop bothering me? The scared little man tripped as he ran away to get away from the girl. Erica burst out in laughter at the sight of the man running. She almost thought she was too harsh on the man. Almost. She just wanted to be alone after breaking up with him. But her family insisted that she come on this cruise with them. The cruise was supposed to take them to some island that her mother told her about, but she was too pissed to listen. Erica sat down under one of the lights and pulled out from her bag a copy of Evil Under the Sun. She loved mysteries, and she read all kinds, but she particularly loved Agatha Christie. Ever since she was a child, she wanted to be a detective, just like the ones she read about. The one time she was able to put her sleuth skills to the test, when she discovered that man's unfaithfulness. The moment she got on board, she started daydreaming about that this was like one of her novels, that she was the detective and a crime was about to happen. Her parents chastised her for not being in the moment. Combined with that and her annoying little brother, she just had to get away. Erica puts down her book to see her father. What, Papa? Well, starters, I'd like you to come down and apologize to your brother. For what? Oh, she knew the reason. She just wanted to hear her father. She just wanted her father to paint the picture for her. For making Sora cry? For telling him there's no Santa? I'm sorry, but he had to learn eventually. She put her book back up to hide her smile. He's still a kid. Just because you're feeling awful doesn't mean you have to drag everyone down with you. Erica thought back. Her initial goal wasn't to make Sora cry, but he kept going on about magic and his make-believe, and it was pissing her off. So, she did what any great detective would do. She went over the facts, and about how Santa couldn't be real. She went over every magical childish illusion, and slashed them to pieces, to the point that the boy was left in tears. It wasn't her goal, but she'd be lying to herself if she didn't enjoy the outcome. Tell Sora I'm sorry. You can tell him yourself. Let me stay till they turn the lights off. No! The captain said there was a typhoon spotted some time ago. She dropped her sweet illusion. She sticks a finger in her mouth and sticks in the air. As the detective for this voyage, I declare that there is not a draft in any direction. So, I'm going to sit here until the lights go off. She brings the book back up to her eyes, no longer acknowledging her father, not even aware that he left. She went back to her novel, getting lost in the story. When she heard the staff yelling, she tried ignoring them as long as possible, but it got too irritating. What's wrong with you idiots? She didn't need an answer as a powerful gust of wind rips the book from her hands and carries it away to the darkness. Ripped from her fantasy world, she finally realized the chaos around her. The staff and passengers gathering up their items and running inside. The wind starts to pick up, throwing the chairs, tables, and other objects around. Erica wrapped her arms around herself. She still had her bathing suit on from earlier. She shudders as the wind nips at her flesh. She slowly made her way to the door. Before she could take a step inside, another powerful gust of wind blows her back, throwing her against the edge of the boat. Her head hit the metal. Everything was groggy, her vision blurry. When she stood up, she was sure she saw a big patch of blood where her head was. She grabbed the edge for support. She could hear someone yelling at her, but couldn't make out the words. The next thing would change Furuto Erika's world forever. She doesn't know if it was the wind, the crazy swing of the ship, or her current state of imbalanceness. But she fell. The pain from hitting the water brought her back to her senses. She kicked and punched at the waves to stay afloat, but the storm was too powerful. Furuto-san! She looked up to see someone throwing a life jacket into the water. She swam towards it. She grabbed it. Then a wave came crashing down on her head. Her hands let go of the jacket as she sank and sank into the darkness. She gasped for air, her lungs filling with water. This can't be the end. Not before I solved one mystery. As the thoughts ran through her mind, her vision became black, everything dark. Erika opens her eyes. Her dazed and pained face became filled with a mixture of awe and horror. Erika was in what she could only describe it as deep space, a dark void. The only thing in the sight of these were these giant floating crystals, these fragments. So, you're awake. Erika turns around to see the source of the monotone voice. It was a girl, floating in the air. She wore a Victorian-style dress, her hair long. She had a dead, unreadable expression, and a cattail swinging under her skirt. The girl almost looked like she could be Erika's sister. The main difference between the two were their eyes. Erika had lively, energetic eyes, while the girl's eyes looked like they belonged to the dead. So it's like the thing just reloaded, and I lost my spot. Here we go. Erika had lively, energetic eyes, while the girl's eyes looked like they belonged to the dead. Who are you? Where am I? You're sounding pretty rude to the one who just saved you. You saved me? Erika takes a look around at her surroundings, knowing that no such place could exist. She knew this was a final dream before death or the afterlife. So, what are you? An angel? A reaper? A god? For the first time, the girl smiled, letting out a little chuckle. I'm a witch. My name is Frederica Berncastle, the Witch of Miracles. Any other time, Erika would burst into laughter if someone said that to her. But not now. The coldness and intensity of the girl frightened her, but also allured her. But I don't believe in magic. Berncastle floated down so that she was at Erika's level. I know. That's the reason I saved you, Erika. I'm currently playing a very important game. I need someone to be my piece. So I chosen you. Me? I see you want to be a detective. So, be my detective. Solve the mystery of Rokkenejima on the 4th and 5th of October. Destroy the witch illusion and show me the true identity of the one who calls herself the Golden Witch. You're going to make me a detective? Bernkasser reached out to caress Erica's face. Win this game for me, and I'll make your name known throughout the whole metaverse. If you're a very entertaining piece, then there could be other rewards as well. Without hesitation, Erica gets to her knees, kissing the witch's shoe. So, who are my opponents? My master? I love that one. I love that one. It's a little out of, for Cogs, and if I am, we haven't met that character Umineko yet. So she's a little bit out of character here, but I think it works enough. Especially because she has like several different origin stories that kind of conflict with each other. Which is kind of the point. It's kind of the point. Umineko is weird, but you should watch it. You should watch it. Alright. Huh, 7:46. We're making good time. We're making good time. Maybe I can do everything. Alright, so I have two versions of this one story. They're very different, but the characters are meant to be the same. The main difference is that one is written as a screenplay, and one is written as a visual novel, as a short story. So the screenplay can be kind of difficult to read because I'm using screenplay language. So bear with me on that one. Oh, where are you? Here we go. The title of this is Love Hurts. Now, I wrote this one a good long time ago. I almost want to say like probably 7 years. That's how long time it's probably been, to be honest. I wrote this for my screenplay class, and you remember that was what I thought about at the time. I was actually going to use it as for one of my short films, but I would need a little bit more budget. But for me, who has no money. Hopefully one day, maybe one day. I still want to get those visual novels done, but they're gonna take a long time to get done. I'm still going to do Namoramo this month. Though the story I'm working on for that, it's like, I think that's like the third in the series I'm doing, so I'm like skipping ahead on certain things. But cause, if you stay to the very end, I'll read a little bit of one story with kind of prologues into the one I want to release. Hopefully, I wanted to get the rough draft of that done by the end of the year, but I'm only like halfway done with that. Because writer block sucks. Alright, so once again, I'm using screenplay language, so it's going to sound a bit funky. Baden. Interior, waiting room. A small room with no windows. The only sounds are of the ticking of the clock, and the reception desk, typing on the computer. On the side, there are 4 chairs and a table. The table is covered in a mess of magazines. In one of the chairs is Dean, 17, slim, muscular. He's tapping with his foot in impatience. He's looking around like he's suspecting someone to show up. He picks up his phone and checks the time. What's taking so long? He drops his phone and picks up one of the magazines and begins to skim through it. The receptionist. Sir? He looks up from the page. The doctor will see you now. He stands up and walks to the door. The door reads, Dr. Watson. He turns the knob and enters. Interior, Dr. Watson's office. Dean walks in. The room is small, a typical psychologist's office. On the desk sits Dr. Watson, a woman in her early 40s. In short, dark hair, she stands up to greet him. Hello, Dean. I'm Dr. Watson, but you can call me Emily. You can call me Amelia, if you like. He shakes her hand. He's a bit uncomfortable. His posture is bent and not really making eye contact. Hello, Doctor. I have to admit, I'm not sure how all this works. I've never gone to therapy before. That's okay. Everyone's a bit nervous their first time. How about you have a seat, and we can discuss what's bothering you? Dean sits down on the couch, and she takes her seat on the chair. His posture is still tense. So, why don't you tell me what's bothering you? This is going to sound a little crazy, but I think I may be seeing things. Alright? And what makes you say that? Well, it's kind of a long story. You see, flashback. Interior, classroom morning. Dean sits next to a window. It's a typical high school classroom. The room contains up to 20 students. 10 are paying attention, 7 are mildly interested, and 3 are fast asleep. Dean is one of those who are paying attention. And now I want you to get into your groups and get to work, said the teacher. The students rearrange desks to their needs. Dean stands up and walks over to a desk at the back of the class. There sits a girl, Sarah. She's fair-skinned with long red hair. Dean sits at the empty desk next to her. She looks a bit nervous, a blush coming to her cheeks. Hi, I'm Dean. Sarah. Hey, let's try and hurry this up if you can. I have a test soon that I want to study up beforehand. Oh, I'll try, but I'm not that good. With science, I'm barely passing. Dean looks a bit irritated and huffs. That's fine. This is a group effort, after all. The two open up their workbooks and begin to look over what's needed. That's the voiceover. Like I said, we have a little voiceover language. That's the day I met Sarah. She was nice, and she was pretty bright too, once I properly explained the material. And after that, we began spending time together. Montage! A. Interior lunchroom. Dean and Sarah sit at a table, talking and eating. B. Interior Dean's room. Dean and Sarah are in the room studying. C. Interior, the mall. Dean and Sarah stand at a kiosk in the mall. Dean buys a bottle of perfume and gives it to her. D. Exterior, football field. Dean is on the football field practicing with the team. Voiceover. She became one of my biggest supporters during practice. Dean outruns the students on the other team and lands the winning point. Sarah stands up from the bleachers and screams, "Yeah, go Dean! I knew you could do it!" Dean looks up to her and smiles. End of montage. Flash forward to present. Interior Dr. Watson's office. She was exactly what I needed at the moment. With all the extra college classes and the football, I really needed a good friend. It sounds like, Dr. Watson, it sounds like you're under a lot of pressure, stress. Maybe you're overworking yourself? Dean. No, not to brag, but I'm one of the smartest kids in my class. The classes are, for the most part, easy. Making time to train for the sport is what's really killing me. I don't know if I'm saying this right, but it was nice to have a voice of encouragement. that wasn't from my parents, a teacher, or someone else who had something to gain from my success. I can understand. Would you like to talk about your parents more? Or touch back on you mentioning that you're seeing things? I was just about to get there. Flashback. Interior school, hallway afternoon. Dean walks down the hall, students around him buzzing through. In comes Megan. A female student runs up to catch up to Dean. She's beautiful, with long blonde hair. She taps his shoulder. He turns to meet her. Hey, handsome. Hello. Do I know you? Megan. Dean. He extends his arm for a handshake. She instead puts her hand on his wrist. Her hand runs up his arm and squeezes his muscles. Your muscles are amazing. Did it take a long time for you to get them? Dean's face becomes red. Not really. Just good old-fashioned dedication. Megan begins to close the gap between them. I've been thinking about getting into some sports. Could you possibly give me some private lessons? I don't know about that. I have a lot on my plate right now. Then maybe you need someone to lessen your load. God, why did I say that? Why did I say it like that? Why did I even write it like that? Dean's face is consumed by a bright blush. He's even sweating a bit. I need to go meet with a teacher. How about we talk about this another time? Megan backs down a bit, still keeping her smile. Fine. I'll find you later, muscle man. Megan walks past Dean to another destination. As soon as she's gone, Dean notices Sarah standing a few feet from them. Her face is one of shock and pain. Dean approaches her in concern. You okay, Sarah? Looks like you've seen a ghost. Who was that girl? She asks calmly, but her brow is stern, and you can see you can tell. Oh god, my grammar sucks. But her brow is stern, and you can tell she's forcing her smile. Just some desperate girl. I guess this stone body is good for something else than just games. Sarah stands still, not laughing at all. He taps her shoulder in concern. He looks down and seeing the tight fist she's making, her knuckles white. I'm not feeling too well. I think I should go to the nurse. She turns around and makes her descent into the hall. Do you need me to walk with you? She turns around, smiling. Nope, I'll be fine. Just want to get rid of this bug before it gets any worse. She turns back around and continues walking. Dean voiceover. She went home early that day. When I texted her later on to ask if she was okay, I got nothing. Sometime later, exterior outside the school. A row of teens get off the bus. Each one rushes to the other to get off the vehicle. Dean is last off. Almost immediately after he exits the bus, a red blur leaps on him. It was Sarah, giving him a big hug. Gotta sharpen those reflexes, star athlete. She let go of him and walks by his side into the building. That day, she was completely different. Another montage. A. Interior, school hallway, morning. Dean and Sarah walk through the hall together, her body pressed close to his. Voiceover. She was clingy. B. Interior classroom afternoon. Dean sits in a desk right next to the window. There's a knocking sound. He turns to look out the window, and there's Sarah in her gym clothes waving at him. She made sure she spent each break between classes with me, even though her class would be at the other side of the building. C. Interior school cafeteria. Dean and Sarah are eating lunch together. A female student starts to approach their table. Sarah sees her from the corner of her eyes and immediately clings to Dean's arm and gives the girl a nasty glare. And any girl that even approached me, she acted like she was going to attack them. In the montage. Flash forward, Dr. Watson's office. I can't believe it took me that long to realize she had a thing for me. Part of me thought so, but I only saw her as a friend. I knew I had to say something to her, but then... Flashback. Interior school hallway. Dean and Sarah are walking down the hall until they approach a locker decorated with pictures and flowers. When they got a little closer, they see the picture is Megan. Another student from the opposite end comes up and puts a flower into the memorial. Hey, what happened to her? Not sure. Or they found her body over the weekend. Someone stabbed her to death and dumped her in the woods off the road. Are there any leads on who did it? Dean, you're going to be late for class. The police hadn't said anything. She just disappeared about a week ago. Didn't the teacher say he wanted to talk with you? I just want to know what kind of monster could have done that. Sarah wraps her arms around Dean's and pulls him down the hall. I said we need to go to class. Why are you acting like that? We knew that girl. Aren't you at least a bit interested in what happened? No, I'm not. She was a nasty little bug, and I'm glad that she's gone. He snatches his arm away. Why would you say that? That didn't even sound like you. Everyone in the hall stops and looks at them. Sarah glances at the staring eyes. Dean, can we talk about this later? People are watching. The day we met her, you looked at her like she was something disgusting. You even said you have a bug to deal with, and now you just compared her to a bug? The other students began giving her dirty stares while whispering to one another. The bell rings, distracting the students, and with that, Sarah bolts the other way. Flash forward, Dr. Watson's office. There's a dead silence in the room. Do you believe she killed that girl? I didn't want to. Everything in my gut told me she had something to do with it. Especially what happened afterward. What happened? She disappeared. I called, texted, trying to get some response from her, but nothing. She vanished. Her parents reported her missing the next day. A few days after that, her parents gave me a call, asking me to come over there. Flashback. Sarah's house. Early morning. Dean is sitting in the living room, talking to Sarah's parents. Her father is a weak-looking man, dressed in a business suit. Her mother is also weak-looking, with her hair that's like her daughter's. She's dressed in scrubs. They said they needed to show me something. Sarah's father and her mother walk him upstairs to Sarah's room. Sarah's room is an average room for a girl her age. The main colors that dominate the space are bright pink and dark reds. Sarah's father. It's inside the closet. Dean walks over to the closet and opens it. The moment it is open, a light turns from above, illuminating the cramped space. In the closet is a shrine dedicated to Dean. The walls are covered in pictures from school and outside of school. There are even pictures of him in bed sleeping. On the shrine itself is the notebook, pencils, books, and toothbrushes. The football from earlier is also on the altar. Dean stands back, his eyes wide in shock. The intense beating of his heart is heard His eyes flicker to picture an object in the closet. He closes his eyes and tightly, trying to shut them out, and... Flash forward. Interior, Dr. Watson's office, evening. His eyes are closed. Dr. Watson looks intrigued, but also terrified. After they showed me the closet, they told the police. Forensics did testing on the shrine, and they found a few locks of hair that belonged to the dead girl. Ever since that day, I kept seeing her. Before I got on the bus and after I get off. Sometimes when I wake up in the middle of the night, I swear I can see her in the shadows, watching me. I can even smell her. Her smell? A bell rings, coming from her computer. She pays it no mind. I got her this perfume as a gift. She would always wear it, and it would just linger wherever she would go. After she disappeared, I thought I was just smelling the leftover from when she would come over. But then the smell started getting stronger, and now it's the only smell in my room. A look of concern fills the woman's face. Once again, the bell rings. Well, Doc, what do you think? Am I sane or not? She goes to answer, but is stopped by the ring again. Ring, 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 ring. She huffs in frustration. I'm really sorry, but that bell is for emergencies. She gets up. I'll be back in a few minutes. How about you lay down and relax until I return? He looks up at her and chuckles. You know what, Doc? I'll take you up on that. He maneuvers his body so that he's laying down on the furniture and closes his eyes. This might be the best nap I had in a while. She smiles at him and leaves the room. Dean is already asleep. The sound of a football game is heard. This goes on until the sound of the announcer yelling touchdown. The doorknob to the office slowly opens. Dean's eyes are still closed. The door closes and the sound of footsteps flood the room. Hey Doc, that was really great. Turns out that a nice nap really takes the worries of... He sniffs the air. That smell. His eyes shoot open and he jumps off the couch. Standing there on the other side of the room. Standing there on the other side of the room is Sarah, blocking the exit. She had a huge smile on her face. Her hands are placed behind her. Hey, long time no see. Dean gets into a defensive stance. What are you doing here? I missed you, baby. I couldn't stand being so far away from you much longer. But all that's over with. I found a nice little place for us to be together without anyone getting in the way. That sounds really great, but I think we should put a hold on that. Dean rushes at her with all his might and throws her towards the wall. Before she can get up, he pulls open the door to escape to see. Interior, the waiting room. The receptionist sits in her chair with her throat slashed. Same thing with Dr. Watson, who sits in one of the chairs for the patients. He's in shock and can't even move. Then Sarah grabs him from behind and puts a cloth of chloroform to his face. He struggles for a bit, but the drug overwhelms him and he collapses. There, baby. She grabs her purse and pulls out a needle and injects his contents into one of his veins. Just take a little nap and you'll be in a paradise when you wake up. Exterior, a remote farmhouse. On a grassy hillside, there is an abandoned old farmhouse. The paint has faded and the windows have become tainted with dirt. Dean is tied down to a wheelchair. He looks barely conscious. Sarah is right behind him and pushing him through the grass into a nice-looking meadow. Isn't this beautiful? It was my great-great-grandfather a long while back. I remember seeing it in a bunch of family photos. My parents probably forgot all about it. We'll be safe here for a few weeks or longer. She walks around to him and bends down to meet his eyes. I'm sorry, I used a little too much medicine to make you docile for the trip. You'll be like this for a few hours. How about in the meantime, I make your dad's famous chili? She leans forward and kisses his forehead. Just enjoy the view. I'll come and get you when everything's on the stove. She turns around and skips back to the house and hums happily to herself. A single tear runs down Dean's face as her humming continues. Cut to black. And that was... Where is it? Love... Oh! Love Hurts. Yeah, that one, I really did like that one. I wish I could have done more with that. Your Neil Breen makes movies, so I can't tell. I could have. I could just screened everything. Alright, so the next one is a little different. So, I can't remember. The prompt for this one was to practice a story without writing very little detail. So basically let the dialogue control the flow, the narrative. And I had a little trouble coming up with a story, so I decided to redo Love Hurts. Though, it's not exactly the same. I guess you can say this is a parallel universe, alternate timeline, something like that. So let's get to that one. Oh, it's almost 8:30. 8:13. Oh no. I wanted to at least take a small break before the next stream. We're still good. We can hurry this. We still have enough time. 9 pages to this one. 4 pages. Actually, I think I need to take a small little break. Give me like 3 minutes? At the best. At the worst. I'll try to hurry up. I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. Sorry. Sorry. I will not lie. It seems Dinner did not agree with me. I would like it more graphic than that. Let's start the next story. Ugh, what's that? Get tissues. My hands are so wet. And I don't want to mess up the computer. There we go. Grab this. My body started acting weird because I'm not in front of the laptop. Just imagine I'm turning the page of the book. Just imagine I'm turning the page of the story. Actually, how did I look in the monitor real quick? I think I'm just gonna... I want to stand. I want to get like one of those self-rising desk. So I can just like stand while I stream. But I'm all over the place. Okay, I'm actually looking good right here. But let's try to keep this pose. Alright, this is Love Hurts, the reboot. Sarah is waiting patiently. She fiddles with the wire cutter in her hand and watches TV as she waits for her boyfriend, Dean, to come home. 5 minutes turn to 15, then 20, then an hour, to eventually 3 hours. Her focus was interrupted by the sound of the lock turning and the door swinging open. Dean sets his things down and closes the door. "Hi, baby. How was your day?" Her voice came out like a panicked shout. Dean jumps back from her cry, his heart now racing in his chest. "Don't scare me like that." "Sorry, I didn't mean to. I was just worried. You came home pretty late today." "Sorry about that. Catherine needed me and a few others to stay behind to finish the project. Didn't I text you explaining it?" "Yeah, you did. I just didn't expect it to take that long." "Come on, you must be exhausted." Sarah grabs his hand and leads into the kitchen. Their little table is nicely decorated with 2 plates of food, chicken, carrots, and some good old mac and cheese, his favorites. He dips his finger in the cheese for a taste. "It's a bit cold." "Well, I was waiting for you." "It's fine. I'll just put it in the microwave." He got to reheating the food as she sat down on the chair or the table. "So, who else stayed after today?" "There was Bill, John, and Jessica. I'm not familiar with the others. I think they're newbies." "Did you have to work closely with Catherine? Or did you mostly work with the others?" Just say what you want to say." What do you mean, sweetheart? I'm just asking about your day." "No, what you're asking if I spent any time alone with her." "Well, did you?" "A couple times, yes. She's my boss. She asked me to do something or go someplace with her or have to." "And what did you two do in those moments?" I can't believe you're starting this again. Every time I spend time with another woman, you start acting like I'm doing something behind your back. "Dean, I know you would never try to hurt me. It's them I don't like." "You didn't answer my question. What did she want while you two were alone?" "Alright, yes. Yes, it happened. She came on to me." "Knew it." "And I told her no and left to get back to work." "I told you the moment I met her that she wanted you. But you thought I was being paranoid. In the end, she was exactly what I pegged her to be. A useless bug that doesn't know her place." I can't do this anymore." "What?" I can't take this. You and your insane jealousy. You were like this even in high school. Back when we were just friends." Dean, calm down. Perhaps I was a little harsh." "Harsh? Do you even hear how you talk sometimes? You know my parents and friends all warned me about you. They said she's controlling, she's clingy, she has a nasty look in her eye. But I pushed them aside. You don't know her. Her parents are awful. She had no friends before me. Of course she might be a little clingy. Guess they were right. Dean, wait. We're both a little on the edge. Let's just calm down and talk about this. I'm sorry about the bug and... Stop that! Stop what? Bug. That's what you call everyone that displeases you. That's not true. Just the assholes. They get in our way of being happy. And right now, that's you. No more. Let's not fight tonight. Let's just eat and go to bed. I have something fun planned for your day off. I think you'll enjoy it. You can't just keep apologizing with gifts and gestures. I know you never mean it. You're never sorry for the things you do. I'm sorry about hurting you. I couldn't give a damn about most people. But not you. You're the only one I care about. I know. Look. I think I should stay somewhere else tonight. Oh. Whose? My parents. I'll be back in the morning. I just need some time to think. Dean exited the kitchen and made his way to the door. But you're coming back, right? Call me when you get there? Or a text? I just need to know you're okay. Dean picks up his keys and walks out. Sarah slumps against the door, listening to his footsteps getting further and further away. No matter how much she tried, she couldn't stop the tears from coming out. She got up to grab a tissue, the wire cutter entering her gaze once again. Oh, Dean. You'll be back. Of course you'll be. We're made for each other. We protect each other. Just like how you helped me with all those bullies, I'm helping you. I told you what that bug really wanted from you. But thanks to my little friend here, she wouldn't bother us for a while. Maybe the accident is really bad, she'll be gone for good. Then you can get a new boss that actually respects you. That sees everything that's great about you, like I do. I wonder if you'll appreciate me more if you know how many bugs in your life I got rid of. Reboot, relaunch, the alternate timeline. I love Hurts. That one I really liked. I think I was a little too mushy on the dialogue. But again, I always think my dialogue is awful. Both my professors and other students told me, like, no, your dialogue's fine. I don't believe it. I never like my dialogue. I always think something's wrong with it. It's just me. It's just me. Oh, what the heck? Amelia Watson. She's doing a watch a grave encounters. That's actually really good. It's not that good. It has this awesome fun moments, but I don't know. It's been a minute since I watched Grave Encounters. I watched the first time like a year ago. But we're gonna do our own watch along, and it's gonna start in soon. So I better get back to the stories. Alright, so which one should we do next? Probably can only do 2 more. Alright, sorry. Other work popped up. Ah, here's a fun one that's a little more in the season. We're in a season for a bleeding. This one is simply titled Hayride Haunt. Now, this one was inspired by actually two things from my actual hayride, like one of those haunt places I went to as a little boy. Yeah, it freaked me out so much that at the end of the attraction, I came out running and screaming. And the next one is something I experienced, though. Not experienced, is my little writing buddy. So I couldn't really figure out what to write with, or I needed like some inspiration. So I chose this clown mask that I have in my house, and it's a very odd looking mask. It has a lot of, there's something about it that's weird and freaky. Like I don't need a special mask that costs a lot of money. It's just like one day we're in Walmart, and it was like the day after Halloween, so everything was on sale. I saw this mask and something was off about it. Something was off about that. I just had to have it. And yeah, mask inspired this piece. So, what's the further ado? Hayride Haunt. Are we there yet? This phrase has been spoken at least 5 times now. We'll be there in about 15 minutes, replied the boy's mother. The annoyed child slumped back into his seat. The other adult up front, the boy's aunt, chuckled at the childish reaction. The poor child looked at the window and saw nothing. The sun had gone down hours ago. The world outside was an empty black abyss. The child did have a book to keep him occupied. But with no light, it became obsolete. He pressed his head against the glass. The motion of the vehicle combined with the darkness started to lull the child into relaxation. Unknowingly, he closed his eyes. Hey, wake up. You're here. The sound of his mother's voice pulled him out of the darkness. The pressure of her gentle rocking pulled his eyes open. But it was the confirmation of their arrival that fully brought him back to a state of consciousness. The youthful energy returned as he opened the door to the event. There were lights scattered about, nice big ones to illuminate the night sky and bring back definition to the void. You could see they were in a field, one of those fields that a farmer might use. Nice and big, and if it was morning, you probably still couldn't see the end. But the biggest source of light was coming from the center of the field. It looked like several barns, like the kind that you see on TV several times before. Past the barns, he knows a big machine. A tractor, he thinks, is what they're called. He can barely make out people climbing on top of it. That must be the hayride Mom told me about. The boy turns back to the car, only to be disappointed to see the grown-ups fiddling with bags of money. He turns his gaze to the exciting attraction, but something else catches his eye. Not in front of the attraction, but by one of the cars parked not that far away from them. It was a person. A chubby man, from what he could tell. It was too dark to get any real details. The only other describing feature was his little hat that sat on his head. But that wasn't the weirdness that made him notice the man. No, the man got his attention because he was standing on top of someone's car. He stood there, perfectly still, with his arms spread across like a scarecrow. He looked up at the weird man, or maybe a prop? Was it moving? The darkness offered no real answer, but the boy could have sworn his head was moving. Just a little, turning his head right and bending it down in his destination, his direction. Is he looking at me? A tap to the back of his head sent the boy into a panic. He turned around to see his mother and aunt. They asked him if he was alright. Look, over there! There's this creepy scarecrow on top of people's car. The boy turned and pointed to where he saw the figure, but it was gone. No imprint was left in the darkness. But he was just... Come on, let's go in before it gets too late, said the aunt. No one to argue, the boy dropped it. The three began their descent into the entrance. They get into line. There was about 3 groups ahead of them. The boy looked past the people to admire the ticket booth. It was tiny. A wooden box with splashes of red here and there. It was wrapped in wire, and tangled in the wires was an arm there, a leg there, and a few hands. Big iron bars were placed up front to separate the customer with the staff from the staff. As the boy counted the fake limbs, trapped, his eyes went up and up till they reached the pointed top of the booth and saw him again. It was a clown. It was no doubt to the boy that this clown must have been the same person standing on the car. He had the same big belly, and was standing in the same position. He wore a striped blue and yellow suit, with skulls scattered around the clothing. The man's face was painted white, with black stars over his eyes and black dots on the dimples. He had a big blue puffy nose, and his lips were painted red. There were a few strands of hair on his head. Some were red and some were blue, but last but not least, there was a tiny black top hat sitting on his head. The clown's lips were stretched into an exaggerated smile, a fake smile that would hurt if you held it for too long. This time the boy did not have to guess where the clown was looking. He was looking down in their direction. The boy points to the clown. See, that's him. The guy that was in the parking lot. The adult followed his arm to the clown. Oh my god, what's he doing up there? Oh, his little hat is cute. Another patron starts to notice the clown. Once all the eyes were on him, he lifted his hands and gave a wave. He waves to the people, never losing that unnatural grin. Once inside, they walked to the haunted hayride. The line wasn't as long as the ticket booth. They got in the vehicle, followed by a couple of other people. The ride began. They were driven through a barn, bathed in its darkness. Exiting the barn, they brought around to a circus set. There are broken up tents, banged up tiny cars, crushed up bags, and broken bottles. As they passed through, the clowns emerged in the cars. These clowns were more of what you expected. Covered in fake blood with goofy fangs. The clowns made loud noises and honked their horns, but nothing too creepy. When they were driven out of the section, the boys spotted him, the clown, standing under light, waving at them. The vehicle drove for a few minutes until they reached the second barn, the operating room. In the operating room, there were what seemed to be live surgeries going on. The patients screamed in agony, and a powerful rust smell was perfuming the air. They tried to get off the operating table, but were pushed back down. They screamed for help, but the car kept moving. Then he came again. On the last table before the exit, the clown was there. He was operating with the doctors, sawing off this man's arm. The entire car let out a cry in shock as the clown completely removed the arm. Blood splattering the clown in the side of the car, hitting a few customers. While the people were complaining about their clothes, the boy was focusing on the arm. Skin didn't look stiff. It didn't have that off color most prop bodies did. Next, the asylum. After a few minutes in the darkness, they reached their destination. This place was dirty. Each side was covered in padded cells. Within the cell, the actors tried to jump out at the patrons, but were pulled back by a chain attached to them. A man dressed as a doctor was running alongside the car, screaming, "Get out! This is not a game! Are you people listening to me? This isn't a game!" The sound of the struggle get everyone's attention to their side. The boy can see what looks like a doctor getting attacked by the maniacs, and the clown is there. off to the side, laughing and encouraging the men to attack the doctor. As they drive by, the clown stops to notice them. The clown runs to the car. He jumps on. No struggle or trying to catch up to us. He just hops on like it was nothing. The clown said nothing, just staring at the passengers. He gives everyone a look over, especially the kids. Some parents were weirded out by the behavior and tried to shield their children. But others, who assumed it was all part of the fun, did nothing as the clown got up close to their faces. Then he came to our boy. The boy was shocked, not knowing if he should try to hide or let the man play his trick. The clown was now in front of him, their faces inches apart. The boy can actually see some details he missed before. There seemed to be a big gash on the clown's forehead. It was covered up in white makeup, but the indent was noticeable. And the second thing the boy noticed was his eyes. Each time the boy looked at the clown, he could never see his eyes. And he still can't. The clown was inches away from his face, and he saw nothing. No eyes, just empty. The car exited the barn, and the patrons were bathed in darkness again. It felt like an eternity before they passed another light. When the car was bathed in artificial white, he was gone. No clown in the car. The riders talked among themselves. Where did he go? How did he do that? Halloween magic? I just want to get off. It's a monster! Mommy, I'm scared. Then they reached the final segment. The Killer Hillbillies. The car stops, and the riders sit there wondering what's going on. Someone even yelled at the driver to continue. Before they could even wait for a response, several men dressed in overalls and wearing masks ran out of the barn and jumped into the car. They screamed at everyone, "Get out! Get standing! It's dinner time!" The boy, too startled to move, is shaken by his mother. They're saying we have to get off the rest. They're saying we have to go the rest of the way on foot. They get up. Everyone walks into the barn. The first obstacle was beef hanging from the ceiling, like a slaughterhouse. Most of the hanging ornaments were body bags, and some of them moved and wiggled around. After getting through that, they enter a dining room with a comically long table placed at the left, and on the right was the kitchen. Walking through, the boy can see they were cooking people. The people at the table begging for them to come to dinner, while the cooks were demanding their eyes, liver, and lungs. At the table, the boy notices a few familiar faces. Besides the hillbillies, others at the table were from the other attractions. A surgeon there, a psychologist there, and plenty of clowns. Now nowhere, the sound of chainsaws came from behind. Two men in skull masks were running down to the front. The fright caused many people to run to the exit. To avoid for being trampled, the boy joined the crowd. The exit to the barn led right back to the parking lot. The boy's heart was pumping, exhausted and scared. He turned around to look for his mother and aunt. He called them, but no answer. Tap, tap, tap. He felt a finger on his shoulder. I hate this. I really should rewrite. He turned, hoping to see his mother. It was the clown. The clown picked up the boy, and looking deep into his eyes, the boy screamed as he met with complete emptiness. The boy thrashed and kicked at the thing, but it wouldn't let go. The boy was trying to fix on the empty sockets that stared at him. Through his thrashing, he was able to break eye contact for a moment to see the thing's head. The boy lunged forward, digging his nails into the indent on the skin and pulling down. A fountain of blood erupts from it. It drops the boy. The boy's body takes over, and he runs. He runs faster than he's ever before. He turns back to see he's being followed. But the clown is just standing there. The blood still gushing forward, but it's not moving. No shout of pain, nothing. The boy slammed into the car, trying desperately to open the door. That dinner scene must have really done a number on you. The boy turns to see his mom and aunt. He tries to explain what happened about the clown, how he got covered in blood. Why are you making up stories? I'm not making this up. There's not a single drop of blood on you, little dude. The boy felt that he'd been slapped in the face. He puts his hands out to show the blood is proof, but nothing. They're clean. Maybe a little dirt and hay, but they're clean. The boy pressed his face against the window as they drive. He hated the back road. There were barely any lights. He tried explaining a few more times about what happened, but he had no proof. He sat in the dark, sulking. I know the clown is creepy, but you don't have to make things up, said the aunt. Frustrated, the boy turned from the window, ready to defend himself. Again. But what's that? The boy turned to look at the seat next to him. The seat was empty. It was empty when they left the house. It was empty when they arrived at the haunt. And it was empty now, but why could the boy see that outline sitting next to him? He can feel them, those empty sockets, glaring at him. Mom? There should be a light coming up soon, right? When the boy took a breath, he smelt it again. That powerful rust. Ew! What's that smell? Said the mother. The boy kept looking into the darkness, praying for the light to prove him wrong, and praying for none to come. And that was... Where are you, where are you, where are you? Hayride Haunts. Yeah, that one needs to be a little bit more worked over. I won't lie about that one. It was 8:44. Okay, I'm pushing time. Alright, let's just jump into the next one. Alright, so I had two more that I wanted to do, but seeing how the time is not on our side, we're only going to have the one to do tonight. The last one to do. Which I say these two for last, because these two had a lot of effect on my writing, I guess you could say. These they helped me create a character that I really fell in love with, and I really want to use her for many stories to come down the line. But let's jump into the tale. Alright, this one is a classic that you all heard sometime before. Because the prompt with this one was to take a classic fairy tale and redo it with your own style. The classic fairy tale I chose was Hansel and Gretel. Smash! Smash! A ball shattered against the wall. Father came home early and went straight to the bottle. The stepmother was shouting and yelling about drinks and bills. Hansel and Gretel can barely make out the words as they hide in their room. Gretel buried her head in a book, AirPods in, trying to filter out the noise. Hansel passed around the room, looking out the window. The light shines through the glass, illuminating the dark room. He looks at their small yard and that leads to the woods. Hansel nudges Gretel. Get up! She glances at him with an annoyed face before turning back to the book. Hansel then pulled out one of the buds out of her ear. The music stops, and the shouting and fighting fully return to her senses. Give it back! She shouted for it, almost hitting him. Hansel moved to the side.
I'll give it back, only if you come with me. Her head tilts in confusion. He nods his head to the window. The window opens, and the twins quietly climb out. The sun beats down on their skin harshly. Hansel took his time getting to the trees, while Gretel ran. When Hansel reached the trees, he opened his hand, showing the AirPod. She quickly snatched it, putting it back in the case. So, why are we here? He shrugged his shoulders. I just thought it would be fun to explore. Besides, it's nicer out here than in there. She rolled her eyes and placed the AirPods back in. The music started. Hansel dragged them through the forest for what felt like hours. Hansel was entranced with everything around him. He pointed at every rock, bush, tree, cloud, and squirrel. Gretel just nods her head, finding mild amusement from the environment. The deeper they go into the woods, the thicker the trees get. It's hard to tell if the sun is going down, or if the light is being blocked out. Han, it's getting dark. Just a little bit longer. He skips over the rocks, playing a game of hopscotch with the rocks and plants. Gretel gave her phone full attention, the black and white text more comforting than the poison around her. This trance was broken then again when she walked straight into a pond. Her foot kicked a tree vine, making her fall face first into the green muck. She panics, swallowing a bit of the muck, disgusting pollen taste now in her throat. She gets up, crawling out of the water, gasping for breath. When her heart calms down, she looks around and doesn't see her brother. In fact, the forest looks a little different. The trees are larger, the bark darker, barely any light is coming from above. She looks for her phone and sees nothing. It must still be in the water. She looks back and forth. She doesn't even remember what she said, what she was doing, where she was going. "Little!" shouted Hansel. Hansel was distracting himself by chasing a squirrel and trying to play with some animals. When the excitement burned down, only then did he notice his sister's disappearance. He tried to trace his steps, but his footsteps were all over from the this is the first draft, you can tell. He tried to trace his steps, but his footsteps were all over from him messing with the wildlife. Hansel kept walking until he reached a clearing. In the center stood a house. It was dark. The roof was made out of what looked like graham crackers. Now the chimney, a sweet aroma, followed the smoke. Hansel approached the strange structure. He knocked on the door, his fists going through it. His hand was covered in crumbs and frosting. He ripped off a small chunk of the door and brought it to his mouth. It's chocolate cake. The door opens, making the boy step back. Standing in the frame was a tall woman. She's wearing a light red Lolita dress, with frills everywhere. Her hair was in a graying blonde. Well, don't we have a lost one? Gretel is sure she's walking in circles. She has to be. Everything looks the same. She's not sure how long it's been since she's seen a critter. She stopped yelling for Hansel some time ago, her throat burning in need of water. She takes shelter behind a tree to escape the nipping wind, which is only made worse by her soaked clothes. She looks up. No light shines from above. She can barely see her hands. The lack of light is only equal to the lack of sound. Her breathing in the earth beneath was just the only sound that registered. Cold and scattered, she attempted one more time. He has to be out there. Someone has to hear. Filling her lungs with air, she let out a giant shout for help. Nothing. Not a peep, except for her voice returning to her. She cups her head in despair, the tears finally spilling. Creak. She looks up, her head dancing to side, trying to find the sound. Creak. again, but louder. She looked ahead, a bit of light peering through the darkness. As the noise goes on, the light gets bigger, illuminating the forest. She would finally see the trees moving, the earth bending to create an opening. Gretel ran to the light. Anything that looked better than this darkness. On the other side, she saw a house. A simple cabin-like place. But it was odd. It seemed to be made out of cake and crackers. She walked around the place, trying to see if anyone was home, but the building had no windows. When she got to what she assumed was the door, she was going to knock, but was halted by the fist-sized hole, and voices coming from inside. It was an older lady and her brother. She pushed the door open and was greeted by the astonishing sight. The whole house was decorated with candy material. The furniture was made out of some bread, the tables out of rock candy, the house illuminated by several jars filled with fireflies. The only part of the place that contained any metal was the kitchen. There was her brother and the woman sitting at a table, a dining table perhaps. It was also constructed out of blue rock candy. "Little!" shouted Hansel. The twins rushed forward and gripped each other in a tight hug. "Aw, that's sweet." Gretel stares at the woman as she looks at them. "Where did she go? I was looking everywhere. You left me, moron!" Children, please don't fight. This forest can get pretty weird now and then." Gretel broke from her brother to look at the woman. Who are you?" "Gretel, this is my friend. She invited me in when I got lost. Her name is Susie? No, Sub. My name is Sus. Now, may I ask you two, why were you running around in my forest?" The children stood still, stumped in thought, not wanting to tell the truth to the strange person. "We were just exploring," said Hansel. "Really? She doesn't look like the exploring type." The woman reached out into her skirt pocket, and pulled out a phone and a pair of AirPods. "These don't really seem like something you would bring with you during a hike." Gretel snatched her things that were bone dry but wouldn't turn on. "But I left these in the lake. How did you—" "I told you, this is my forest. Nothing happens here without my knowledge." The woman steps closer to the children, eyeing Gretel up and down, putting her hands through the girl's hair. "You poor thing. You must be freezing. Let's fix that, shall we?" The twins sat at the table, waiting for Sus to return from the kitchen. Sus brought Gretel into the bathroom so she could warm up. Her wet clothes were being hung drying outside. She was currently wearing a dress similar to the woman's. Sus exited the kitchen, carrying 2 small plates with a cupcake on each. "Sorry, but dinner is taking longer than expected. You can have these for now." She set down the plates in front of them. Reaching to her pocket again, she pulls out utensils made of candy canes. "Oh, I almost forgot." Sus picked at the white frills in her dress. It pops right off and puts it on the cupcakes. The children stare at the oddity. "Go on, try it." The ever-brave Hansel puts his finger through the topping and tastes it. "It's whipped cream." Sus smiled at the reaction before returning to Gretel. Gretel picked up the cake to take a bite. Her eyes widened from the taste. "Strawberries," she said excitedly. Sus returned to the kitchen and quickly came back with 2 mugs of hot chocolate. She sat down, watching them scarf down the cakes. "Something tells me you darlings hadn't had anything to eat for a while." The two stopped their munching and looked at each other. "It's been a minute." "Why? Don't your parents love you? Don't they feed you?" Mare started to become better with the questions. "They sometimes forget." So slammed her fist into the table, cracking it. I can't stand that, you know? It's their job to at least make sure you're healthy. Sometimes Imagine why some have children. But that's not your fault. The children don't look at her. Their heads facing the plates. Gretel drinks her hot chocolate, her throat still sore from before. When she finished it, she could feel weight returning to the cup. She looked inside and saw the cup was refilling itself. The tiny droplets of leftover liquid expanding till the cup was full again. Gretel was shocked. She must have stayed still for a minute because Hansel was yelling at her. What's wrong? Are you okay? The cup refilled all by itself. Before he could ask what she meant, Sil spoke up. Drink the rest of your cup. You'll see. Looking between the two, Hansel choked down the liquid and was freaked out when the cup was quickly overfilling in seconds. How did... The boy's words were interrupted by a crackle coming from the woman. I'm sorry, but your faces were so priceless. It never gets old watching humans react to magic. Did you say magic? Asked Gretel. How else can you explain my house? And the cups turning my dress into whipped cream? If you can do magic, doesn't that make you a witch? Yes. The twins gazed at their hostess with fear and awe. They jumped from the table, backing away from it, but never taking their eyes off her. I thought witches were supposed to be ugly. Sus pouts. I made this face just for you. I thought it was pretty. Their backs hit the door. They turned to open it, but the knob was gone. The fluffy cake was now hard. Gretel got on her knees and begged the witch. Please don't eat us. We're so thin. We taste horrible. Sus bent down when she reached the children and stuck her hands into her pockets. Hansel stood in front of his sister. Don't touch her, you freak. In a flash, her hands flung from her skirt to their faces. They were expecting the end, but only tasted sweetness. The witch had stuck a big lollipop in their mouths. Can we stop this silliness, children? Please return to the table. I hate to force you. Seeing no other option, the two followed orders. How do those suckers taste? I made them with magic and not by hand. They stayed quiet, only looking at each other. Dinner is almost ready. You two won't get anything if you don't talk to me. They remained quiet still. Fine. Sus snapped her finger, and Gretel's phone appeared at her side. She picked it up, and it turns on with no problem. If you want to leave so bad, then just call 911, and the police will find you in an empty field. No candy house, and no witch. But if you call, you won't hear the full story, or my offer. Offer? Gretel was scared, but as much as she was interested. She hasn't heard us yet. What could go wrong to let her speak? You two have been around the forest before, right? So why do you think you suddenly were able to see my house? Because you wanted to eat us, said Hansel, as his voice quivered. It was a wish. I heard a wish going through someone's mind. It was a wish for freedom, and I felt compelled to check it out. That's how I discovered you two. But I never made a wish. Neither did I. It does not need to be spoken with lips, but with heart. A loud beat came from the kitchen. The witch got up from the table and returned to the kitchen. The twins heard several clangs and other metallic sounds coming from the other side. When she returned, she was carrying 2 serving trays with tops, keeping the dish a secret. She set them down in front of the kids. You wish for freedom, and you wish for a better life, and I would be happy to make that happen. You can stay here and learn magic, or I can send you to a better house with a nice family. Option 2, you call the police and you return to your normal lives. The twins think it over, trying to figure out their next move. You're willing to teach us magic and give us a new family? What's the catch? This can't be for free. The witch grinned. Such a smart girl you are. Yes, there is a catch. The catch is you have to eat everything on these trays. She lifted up the trays, and the children see their parents. Or what's left of them. Their heads were plucked of hair, and their hearts. Their skin is golden crisp. It's just like you just got out of the oven. Screams of shock leave their lips, but no tears. "You killed them," said Hansel. "Yes, I visited not long after you left your house." "But why?" The witch points at the mother's head. It was her wish that caught my attention. She wanted a better, more interesting life. She hated her drunk husband with a simple job, and she could not stand having to take care of brats who were not hers. You do know she tried to get rid of you, yes? Last month, when she drove you to the park and left you, she didn't lose you. She left, and he knew it. Weak and spineless, wanted to make her happy instead of you two. The twins think back to that day. It was another day of fighting when all of a sudden she made them go to the car. She took them to the park. When she went to the bathroom and just disappeared, they were left to wander for hours. If it weren't for a nice couple, if it weren't for a nice couple that called the police, they probably wouldn't have made it home for a while. They remember all the times she would hit them when their father wasn't home. And when father was home, all he would do is sleep and drink. Well, children, the choice is yours. Hansel stared at the head of his father before him, Gretel at her stepmother. The two of them looked at each other. A minute of silent conversation between the twins. Gretel picks up the candy cane utensils. She cuts a piece of her stepmother's cheek, stabs it with a fork, and brings it to her lips. And that was Hansel and Gretel. There it goes right here. I know I'm spelling this wrong. I know I spelled it wrong the first when I turned it in. That's good. I know it's wrong. Sue me. Okay, that's gonna be it though for tonight. Well, for this stream. I had one more I wanted to try to do, but I need to prepare for the next stream. Gotta get everything together. I need to give my voice a quick little rest. So I will see you all later. Have a nice day. Don't have a nice night. We're going to meet each other soon again in a second. So stay tuned. Get your here we go. This is the screen we're going to be using, but it's going to be something like this. So get your copies of the movies ready, and we'll see each other in about 30 minutes. Okay? I love you guys. Prepare. Be right back. No, it's not. Be right back.